Your unfinished list does not need you anymore tonight. It can remain unfinished without becoming an emergency. It can keep its unchecked boxes, its unanswered messages, its small reminders, and the duties that seemed important when the day was moving quickly. None of those things has to disappear for you to become quiet. None of them has to be solved before your body is worthy of peace. The list has asked enough of you for one day. It may still contain a call you meant to return, a room you wanted to straighten, a reply you hoped to write more carefully, or a decision you believed you should have reached by now. There may be practical things waiting. There may be personal things waiting. There may even be matters that carry real importance. They can wait without punishing you. They do not have feelings that can be wounded by your absence. They will not become offended because you stopped looking at them. They will not accuse you of being careless because you chose not to finish everything before closing your eyes. You have given them many hours already. You gave them your attention while eating, while walking, while answering someone else, and while trying to complete another task. You carried them in the back of your mind even when your hands were occupied. You remembered them at inconvenient moments. You reviewed them when you should have been enjoying a small pause. You kept returning to them because some part of you believed constant remembering was the same as being responsible. You have remembered enough. The unfinished things can stay exactly where they are. They do not need to be arranged into a more acceptable order. You do not need to rank them again, rehearse them again, or promise yourself that tomorrow you will become a person who never falls behind. You are not falling behind in this moment. You are lying beneath a day that has already used all the hours it was given. There are no hidden minutes left inside it. Nothing you do now can turn it into a different day. Nothing you failed to complete can cancel the good you offered, the effort you made, or the moments when you kept going without encouragement. The list can become still. The tasks can lose their sharp edges. Their names can become quieter in your mind. Even the most demanding one does not need to stand in front of you now. It can step back into tomorrow where it belongs. This part of the night is not a planning meeting. You do not need to prepare the perfect response for something that has not happened. You do not need to arrange every possible outcome so that morning cannot surprise you. You do not need to solve a conversation before another person has even spoken their next words. You may stop rehearsing. The explanation you keep improving can remain imperfect. The answer you are trying to predict can stay unknown. The next step does not have to become clear while your eyes are closing. Clarity often refuses to arrive when it is chased. Your mind may still offer one more thought, one more reminder, one more detail that suddenly appears urgent. It has been trained to protect you by keeping everything active. It believes that if it stops repeating a concern, something valuable may be lost. You can thank that watchful part without obeying every message it sends. You can let the thought pass through without turning it into work. You can remember something without getting up. You can care about tomorrow without entering it early. the list will not vanish during the night. What matters will still be there. What no longer matters may look different after several quiet hours. Some problems will become smaller simply because you are no longer meeting them with a mind that has been working since morning. There is no prize for reaching the end of yourself. No loving person would ask you to keep pushing only because one more duty could be found. No one who truly understood the weight of your day would measure your goodness by the number of things you completed after your strength was gone. You do not need to impress the darkness. You do not need to prove that you are disciplined, devoted, capable, or strong. The night is not keeping score. It does not compare what you finished with what another person might have finished. It does not ask whether your reasons are good enough. It receives you as you are. Perhaps you did less than you intended. Perhaps you did far more than anyone knows. Perhaps your greatest effort cannot be seen in a clean room, a finished project, or a message marked complete. Some of your hardest work may have happened inside you. You may have kept your voice calm while something in you wanted to cry. You may have answered kindly after being spoken to without care. You may have remained patient with someone who did not understand how little energy you had left. You may have swallowed words because you knew they would create more hurt. You may have listened when you wanted only one to listen to you. You may have made room for another person's feelings while your own waited quietly. You may have offered reassurance even though you needed reassurance yourself. That work rarely appears on a list. There is no checked box beside the moment you stopped yourself from reacting. There is no visible reward for the time you chose understanding over anger. There is no certificate for carrying disappointment without placing it on everyone around you. Still, it cost you something. The face you held together required effort. The steady tone you used required effort. The ordinary way you moved through the day may have required more strength than anyone nearby could have guessed. Others may have seen you answering, preparing, driving, cleaning, deciding, or continuing. They may not have seen what it took. They may not have seen the thought you pushed aside so you could focus on what they needed. They may not have seen the moment your chest tightened and you kept speaking as though everything was manageable. They may not have seen you pause alone, gather yourself, and return before anyone noticed you were struggling. You made difficult things look normal. That does not mean they were easy. You may have become so practiced at carrying strain that people assume you are comfortable with it. They may hand you another need because you have handled the others. They may trust your strength without asking what it costs you to keep showing it. You might even do this to yourself. You may look at everything you managed and decide it should not have affected you. You may believe that because you completed the task, answered the call, prepared the meal, attended the meeting, or cared for the person, you should not feel worn afterward. Completion does not erase cost. A person can do something well and still need recovery. A person can choose love and still become drained. A person can remain responsible and still reach the point where the next small request feels larger than it normally would. Your limits do not insult your love. They do not mean you care less. They do not mean you are becoming selfish. They do not mean you have failed at being dependable. They mean you are human enough to be affected by what you give. Maybe you spent the day moving between other people's needs. Someone wanted an answer. Someone needed help. Someone needed patience. Someone required you to remember a detail they had forgotten. You became the person who kept things moving. You watched the time. You anticipated what could go wrong. You found the missing item. You sent the reminder. You adjusted your own plan because another person's situation changed. You may have done it willingly. Love often does these things without making a speech about them. Care frequently looks ordinary from the outside. It appears as remembering, preparing, checking, listening, waiting, correcting, carrying, and returning. It can still become exhausting. A loving choice can take energy. A meaningful responsibility can become difficult. Gratitude falls. Or the people in your life does not prevent you from needing space from their demands. You can love them and need quiet. You can be thankful and depleted. You can understand why someone needed you and still wish they had seen that you needed something too. These truths do not cancel each other. There may have been a moment today when you almost admitted how much you were carrying. The words may have reached the edge of your mouth before you changed them into something easier for another person to hear. You may have said you were fine. You may have said it was nothing. You may have said you would handle it. Perhaps you did handle it. Perhaps you always do. But the part of you that wanted to be seen did not disappear just because the moment passed. That part is still here. It does not need a dramatic rescue. It may only need to stop pretending for a while. It may need to be free from the pressure to explain why this day felt like too much. You do not have to justify the weight you feel. A day can look ordinary and still ask more than you had available. There does not need to be one terrible event. Strain can gather through dozens of small demands, interruptions, worries, changes, and acts of self-control. One request may have been manageable. The next request may also have been manageable. Then another arrived. A small disappointment followed. A plan changed. Something took longer. Someone misunderstood you. A task you believed was finished returned with another problem attached. You continued. You adjusted. You found another bit of patience. By evening, you may have wondered why such ordinary things had affected you so deeply. You may have compared your day with the suffering of others and decided you had no right to feel as you did. Pain does not become unreal because another person carries more. Weariness does not need to win a competition before it deserves care. Your nervous system does not calculate whether you have earned relief by comparing your life with every other life. Your body responds to the hours you have lived, the emotions you have contained, the demands you have met, and the uncertainty you have carried. It knows what the day required. It knows about the jaw you tightened. It knows about the shoulders that rose while you were trying to stay composed. It knows about the breath you postponed because there was always one more thing to do first. You may not have chosen to ignore yourself. Sometimes there truly was no space. Sometimes you were in the middle of work, care, travel, noise, or a conversation that could not be abandoned. You promised yourself you would come back to your own feelings later. Later has arrived. You do not have to examine every feeling now. You do not need to name each one correctly. You do not need to understand why one moment hurt more than another. You only need to stop sending yourself away. For these hours, you are not an interruption. Your needs are not an inconvenience. Your quiet is not something that must be postponed until everyone else is satisfied. There may always be someone who could use more from you. There may always be a task that would benefit from another hour. There may always be a reason to remain alert. Enough does not arrive when everything is finished. Enough arrives when you recognize that continuing would require you to abandon yourself. You have not been weak for reaching this point. You have been present for a long day. You may have carried responsibility that belonged to you and responsibility that never fully belonged to you. You may have worried about choices another person must make. You may have tried to prevent consequences you cannot control. You may have felt responsible for everyone's comfort. You watched expressions. You listened for changes in tone. You wondered whether someone was upset. You reviewed your own words, searching for a mistake that might explain another person's distance. You may have tried to repair a feeling that was never yours to repair. This kind of vigilance can become so familiar that you mistake it for kindness. You begin to believe love means making sure no one is disappointed, uncomfortable, confused, or unhappy because of anything you did. That is more than any heart can manage. You are not the keeper of every mood around you. You're not required to predict every reaction. You are not responsible for removing all difficulty from the lives of people you care about. You can be compassionate without becoming the place where every burden is deposited. Today, perhaps you forgot that. Perhaps you agreed before checking what the agreement would cost you. Perhaps you said yes because saying no would have required a conversation you did not have the strength to face. Perhaps you took on one more thing because it seemed easier than disappointing someone. There is no judgment here. You made the best choice you could from the energy, information, and emotional space you had at that moment. You do not need to put yourself on trial now. The mind often becomes severe at the end of a demanding day. It reviews what could have been done differently. It finds the sentence that should have been clearer. It identifies the moment you should have spoken, stayed silent, moved faster, prepared better, or known more. It turns exhaustion into evidence against you. You do not have to accept that evidence. A weary mind is not always a fair judge. It can make a small mistake look like a permanent flaw. It can take one uncomfortable interaction and use it to question your entire character. You are more than the moment you keep replaying. You are more than the thing you forgot. You are more than the expression on someone's face when you could not give them what they wanted. A difficult day does not reveal some hidden failure inside you. It reveals that you were asked to meet life while having a limited amount of strength, attention, and patience. That limit is not a defect. It is part of being alive. You do not need to become limitless to deserve peace. Maybe you were productive today. Maybe you were not. Maybe your energy disappeared before you could begin the most important task. Maybe you kept changing direction because everything felt equally urgent. Maybe you sat for a while and called it laziness, even though your body was asking for a pause. The name you gave that pause matters less than what was true. You had reached a place where force was no longer helping. You may have continued anyway. Many people learn to distrust the moment when their strength begins to fade. They treat it as a problem to defeat. They search for sharper discipline, stronger pressure, louder motivation, or another reason to keep moving. But pressure cannot replace what has been spent. Criticism cannot create energy. Shame cannot make a weary heart feel safe enough to become quiet. You do not need another harsh instruction. You have already heard enough demanding voices, including the one that sometimes speaks from inside you. You have been told to hurry, improve, achieve, respond, remember, endure, and continue. No command is needed here. You can stop translating your worth into output. The things you completed are not the full measure of you. The things you postponed are not a verdict. The tasks that remain do not become proof that you are careless or incapable. They are only tasks. They cannot describe the tenderness you offered. They cannot record the courage required to move through an uncertain hour. They cannot measure how many times you chose not to give up on yourself, even when continuing looked as ordinary as washing your face, answering one message, or making it through the next few minutes. The list knows nothing about those victories. It cannot see the private decisions that protected you. It cannot see the boundary you almost believed you were not permitted to have. It cannot see the moment you changed your mind because something did not feel right. It cannot see the strength in leaving one thing undone. Not every unfinished task is a failure. Some are signs that you finally stopped before the cost became greater. Some are evidence that your time belonged to another need. Some remain incomplete because life changed, because information was missing, because your attention was required somewhere else, or because you are one person and not a machine. The list does not need an apology. You can return to it with clearer eyes when the next day has begun. You can change it. You can remove things from it. You can discover that something you thought was urgent never needed to be done. You are not bound to every demand you once wrote down. A reminder is not a vow. A plan is not a prison. An intention can be revised when your life asks for something different. For now, let the items remain unchosen. Let tomorrow decide what truly deserves your attention. This night does not need to become useful. It does not need to improve you. It does not need to prepare a more impressive version of you for the morning. You are not entering these quiet hours as a project. You are here as a person who has carried enough. You may still feel the day moving inside you. A conversation may continue in fragments. A worry may rise and fall. A practical problem may keep presenting itself as though repetition will produce an answer. You do not have to silence everything at once. Peace does not require a perfectly empty mind. You can have thoughts and still become calmer. You can remember the day and stop participating in it. You can feel the remaining strain without turning it into another assignment. Nothing inside you needs to perform calmness correctly. There is no correct pace for leaving the day. Some parts of you may already be ready. Other parts may still be waiting for proof that they are safe from the next demand. Give those parts time. They have spent many hours responding. They may need to hear more than once that no one is asking anything now. No reply is required. No decision is expected. No problem must be carried to its conclusion before you become quiet. You have entered a place in the day where unfinished things are permitted to remain unfinished. The phone can stay unanswered. The message can stay unsent. The plan can stay uncertain. The conversation can wait for words that come from a clearer mind. You do not owe the final hours of this day to the tasks that consumed the earlier ones. These hours belong to another need. They belong to the part of you that has been patient, the part that waited while you cared for everyone else, the part that accepted every postponement and believed you each time you promised to return. You are returning now, not with a solution for everything, not with enough energy to reorganize your whole life, not with a perfect explanation for why you feel this way. You are returning with your presence. That is enough for this moment. You can be near yourself without fixing yourself. You can offer the kindness you would give someone you love after a long day. You would not stand beside their bed and recite everything they failed to finish. You would not demand an accounting of every hour. You would see their face. You would hear the weariness beneath their words. You would want them to stop carrying what could wait. You deserve that same understanding. You deserve to be treated as someone whose inner life matters, not only as someone who gets things done. You deserve a night that does not ask for proof. The day may have required your competence. It may have needed your strength, patience, humor, organization, restraint, or care. This moment needs none of those things. You do not have to be useful here. You do not have to remain emotionally available. You do not have to keep one part of your mind standing near the door in case another demand arrives. There is nothing you need to catch. Nothing is falling because you stopped. Nothing precious is being lost because you have become still. The world is permitted to continue without your supervision. Other people are permitted to handle their own thoughts for a while. They can wait for an answer. They can solve what belongs to them. They can feel what they feel without you rushing in to rearrange it. You can withdraw your attention without withdrawing your love. You can become unavailable without becoming unkind. You can choose quiet without rejecting anyone. The list may try once more to call you back. It may show you the most uncomfortable item. It may remind you of a deadline, a promise, or a detail you fear forgetting. You can answer inwardly with calm certainty. Not now. Those two words do not destroy responsibility. They place it where it can be met with greater care. Not now means you recognize that this hour has another purpose. Not now means your body is included in the decisions you make. Not now means the person who carries the list also matters. Let that truth remain beside you. The carrier matters. The one who remembered matters. The one who tried matters. The one who did not finish everything still matters. You are not valuable because you kept going past your limit. You were valuable before the first demand arrived. You remained valuable through every imperfect response. You are valuable now when there is nothing left to offer except the truth that you have done enough for one day. The list can sleep. It can close without being completed. It can wait without resentment. It can remain quiet while you begin to understand how much you have carried. What you carried today was real, even when no one else could see it. Your weariness does not need a defense. You do not have to gather evidence for it. You do not have to explain why the day affected you more than you expected. There is no fault here. There is only a person who used energy, attention, patience, and care until very little remained. You did not arrive at this hour because something is wrong with you. You arrived because you have been living through moments that asked something from you. Some asked for action. Some asked for restraint. Some asked you to wait. Some asked you to accept what you could not change. Even the moments that looked quiet may have required effort. Waiting for news can be work. Living with uncertainty can be work. Trying not to worry someone else can be work. A body can become worn without running. A mind can become crowded without speaking. A heart can become heavy without one visible event causing it. You do not need to search for a single reason that proves you have earned this feeling. Many small moments can gather. The request you answered when you needed a pause. the sound that kept interrupting your thoughts, the plan that changed after you had prepared yourself for it, the person whose mood made you careful with every word, the concern you kept returning to because no answer felt certain. Each one may have seemed manageable on its own. Together they asked a great deal. This does not mean you failed to manage them well. It means managing them required something from you. Even strength has a cost when it is used for many hours. Even patience becomes thin when it has been offered again and again. Even love can leave the giver needing care. There is no shame in reaching the end of what you had available. You were never meant to produce endless energy. You were never meant to remain calm through every difficulty without being affected. You were never meant to give, decide, respond, and adapt without needing time to recover. Your limits are not an insult to the people you love. They are not proof that you have become less capable. They are not a sign that you should try harder to become someone who never needs anything. A limit is information. It says enough has been asked for now. It says the next kind choice is not more effort. It says the body and mind have begun to ask for quiet in the only ways they know. The long sigh was information. The eyes that struggled to stay open were information. The moment when a simple choice felt strangely difficult was information. The irritation that appeared faster than usual may have been information too. It did not make you cruel. It may have shown that your inner resources were running low. You do not need to condemn yourself for every response that came from strain. Perhaps you were less patient than you wanted to be. Perhaps your voice sounded sharper. Perhaps you withdrew because you could not take in one more story, one more problem, or one more request. You can take responsibility for what needs repair without treating yourself as the enemy. You can recognize that a moment was not your best and still understand what led to it. Compassion does not remove accountability. It removes the punishment that keeps you trapped after the lesson has already been learned. You are permitted to learn without hurting yourself. You are permitted to apologize without carrying shame into every hour that follows. You are permitted to make a different choice tomorrow without spending the whole night attacking the person you were today. That person was doing their best with what remained. Perhaps what remained was not much. Perhaps you began the morning with less strength than anyone knew. You may have opened your eyes already aware of a problem waiting for you. You may have risen with an ache in your thoughts, a concern in your chest, or a sense that the day would require more than you wanted to give. Still, you entered it. You got up. You moved toward what needed you. That effort counts. It counts even if the day did not go well. It counts even if you changed your plans. It counts even if the most important thing remained undone. Effort is not made worthless by an imperfect result. Care is not erased by one mistake. Love is not canceled because you needed to step away. There is no need to rewrite your whole character because of one difficult day. You are not suddenly lazy because your energy dropped. You are not selfish because you wanted silence. You are not ungrateful because something good still felt demanding. You are not broken because ordinary life felt harder than usual. Sometimes a person is only carrying too much for too long. Sometimes the mind has stayed alert beyond the point where alertness is useful. Sometimes the heart has spent so many hours trying to remain steady that it has nothing left for performance. No moral lesson is needed. No harsh correction is required. You do not need to become better before you can stop. You can stop because you are human. You can stop because you have reached the evening. You can stop because continuing is not always the kindest form of courage. There are times when courage looks like action. There are also times when courage means not demanding another answer from yourself. It means leaving the question where it is. It means accepting that you cannot think clearly while depleted. It means refusing to make a permanent judgment during a temporary low hour. The way you feel now is not the final truth about your life. It is not a prophecy about tomorrow. It is not proof that you will always feel this way. It is the experience of this moment, after this particular day, in this particular body. Moments change. Energy changes. Thoughts change when the system that creates them has had time away from demand. You do not need to force hope. You only need to leave room for change. Morning does not need you to promise that everything will be wonderful. It only asks that you do not decide everything while worn down. You can postpone conclusions. You can say, I will not make a verdict from this hour. You can say, I do not know how tomorrow will feel. You can let uncertainty become kinder than certainty. Because the certainty offered by exhaustion is often severe. It says nothing will improve. It says you should have done more. It says everyone else is managing better. It says one difficult day proves you are failing. These thoughts can sound convincing because they arrive in your own voice. They are still thoughts shaped by a system that has been under pressure. You do not need to argue with them. You do not need to defeat them one by one. You can hear them without turning them into law. A thought can pass through the mind without becoming a command. A feeling can move through the body without becoming an identity. A hard hour can exist without becoming your whole story. You are still here beneath all of it. The part of you that knows how to return has not disappeared. The part of you that has survived other demanding days is still present. It does not need to speak loudly. It may be very quiet now. It may only be the small wapu. Willingness to remain where you are and stop pushing. That is enough. You do not have to feel peaceful immediately. You do not have to love this moment. You do not have to be grateful for every lesson or search for a hidden gift inside what hurt. Some days are difficult without offering an inspiring meaning. Some experiences are only draining. Some conversations should not have happened the way they did. Some people should have treated you with greater care. Honesty belongs here too. Comfort does not require pretending that everything was acceptable. You can admit that something hurt. You can recognize that you were given too much. You can wish the day had been different. Then you can choose not to keep reliving it during these quiet hours. Letting the day end does not excuse anyone. It does not erase what must be addressed. It only prevents the harm from occupying every part of you at once. You may return to the matter when you have more clarity. You may set a boundary. You may seek help. You may decide that something needs to change. Those choices deserve a mind that has not been pressed past its useful edge. You do not have to solve them now to prove you care. You can care and pause. You can remember and become still. You can take yourself seriously without remaining awake inside the problem. What happened matters. Your recovery matters too. There is room for both truths. If this weariness has been following you for many days, if it does not lift, or if low mood and burnout are making daily life hard to carry, you deserve real support beyond these words. Quiet hours can support the body and mind, but they are not medical treatment. A trusted health professional, counselor, or another qualified source of care may help you understand what you are facing. Seeking that care would not mean you failed to cope. It would mean you included yourself among the people worthy of attention. You do not have to wait until you are completely overwhelmed. You do not need to prove that things are severe enough. Support is not reserved for a final breaking point. You can reach toward it while you are still functioning. You can ask while you are still showing up. You can say, "I have been carrying this for a long time and I do not want to carry it alone anymore." That sentence can be a form of strength. For this hour, though, nothing more is required from you. No appointment needs to be arranged right now. No explanation needs to be perfected. The honest knowledge that you deserve care is enough to keep beside you. You deserve care when you are productive. You deserve it when you are not. You deserve it when you can explain what is happening. You deserve it when all you can say is that you have not felt like yourself. There is no threshold of worthiness. Care is not a reward for reaching a certain level of pain. It is one way human beings help one another return. You have spent enough time believing that you should be able to handle everything privately. You were not designed to live without support. No one is. Even the people who appear strongest have moments when another voice, another presence, or another form of care helps them find their way back toward themselves. You are not less independent because you need that. You are not less wise because you cannot think your way out of every feeling. You are not less spiritual because your body needs practical care. You are a whole person. Your emotions, thoughts, habits, body, history, and daily circumstances affect one another. One part cannot always be separated from the rest. This is why quiet matters. Not because it fixes everything. Not because a single night can undo every strain. Quiet matters because it stops adding more pressure. It gives the body a chance to step away from constant response. It gives the mind fewer signals to sort. It creates a space where effort is no longer being spent at the same speed. That space supports repair. While you become still, the body continues its patient work. Breathing continues. The heart continues. Cells continue their ordinary tasks without requiring your instruction. You do not need to manage these processes. You do not need to understand each one. Life inside you knows how to continue without being supervised. During sleep, the body supports many forms of recovery. The mind also works with the experiences of the day, helping memories settle and making space for new learning. This work is quiet. It does not need a speech. It does not need your concentration. It happens more easily when you are no longer asking yourself to solve, plan, and perform. You may think you are doing nothing. The body does not call it nothing. Stillness reduces what is being demanded in the moment. Closing the eyes removes some of the information the mind has been receiving. Lying down changes what the muscles must carry. A slower breath can signal that immediate action is no longer needed. These are small forms of support. They are not magic. They are not promises that every problem will disappear. They are ways of treating yourself with the care a living system needs. You do not have to force the body into perfect calm. That would only become another task. You can let calm arrive in small amounts. One unclenched finger, one easier breath. One thought that does not receive an answer. One moment when the jaw is no longer working. These small changes matter. The body understands small changes. It does not require a dramatic transformation. It responds to repeated signs that this place is quieter than the place you have just left. The room is not asking for speed. The bed is not asking for a decision. The darkness does not require an explanation. Nothing here needs your public face. You can stop arranging your expression. You can let your forehead become ordinary. You can let the mouth lose the shape it used while trying to appear composed. You can become a person alone with their own need for ease. There is dignity in that. You do not have to turn your recovery into a performance either. You do not need to measure how quickly you settle. You do not need to compare this night with another night. Some nights the mind becomes quiet soon. Some nights it circles for a while. Some nights the body seems ready before the thoughts are. Some nights the thoughts slow while the body remains tense. There is no failure in any of these. You are not being graded. The aim is not to achieve a perfect state. The aim is to stop fighting yourself while the night does its ordinary work. You can be awake without becoming upset about being awake. You can be uneasy without adding fear to the uneasiness. You can lie here without deciding that every minute is being lost. The body can still receive some ease from lying down, from reduced movement, from quiet, and from fewer demands. You are not wasting this time. You are no longer spending yourself in the same way. That matters. Perhaps the mind wants proof that this pause is useful. It has learned to value what can be counted. Hours worked, tasks completed, messages answered, problems solved. Inner repair does not always produce immediate evidence. You may not feel the moment when the mind begins to sort what overwhelmed it. You may not sense the exact point when the muscles stop guarding against the next demand. You may not know when one difficult memory becomes less sharp. The process does not need to be visible to be worthwhile. Some support is quiet enough to be missed while it is happening. You may only recognize it later, when a thought feels less urgent than it did before, when a choice seems clearer, when the same problem no longer fills the whole mind, when the body feels more like a place you can live inside rather than something you must drag through the day. These changes cannot be commanded. They are invited by conditions. Less noise, less effort, less pressure, more time without being asked to respond. You are creating those conditions now, not perfectly, not permanently, only for this part of the night. That is enough for the body to receive a different message. The day said move. This hour says no movement is required. The day said answer. This hour says silence is safe. The day said keep track. This hour says nothing will be lost because you stopped watching. You may not believe each message fully. Belief is not required. A small willingness is enough. You can be willing to see what happens when you no longer push. You can be willing to let one concern remain unanswered. You can be willing to treat your current limits as real. This willingness is not surrender to failure. It is cooperation with your own design. The body moves through cycles. Effort cannot remain at its highest point forever. Attention rises and falls. Energy is used and renewed. You are part of these rhythms even when modern life tells you to ignore them. No person can remain available without interruption. No mind can stay sharp through endless demand. No heart can keep giving without receiving something in return. You are not an exception to these truths. You do not need to become one. There may have been years when you were praised for ignoring your limits. People may have admired how much you could handle. They may have called you strong when you were actually surviving without enough support. They may have relied on the very habits that were wearing you down. Praise can make exhaustion difficult to admit. You begin to fear that if you stop carrying everything, people will stop seeing you as valuable. Your value was never meant to depend on how much strain you could hide. Strength is not measured only by endurance. It can also be measured by honesty, by the moment you recognize that something cannot continue in the same way. By the moment you stop volunteering your well-being as the price of keeping everyone else comfortable. By the choice to return to yourself before resentment speaks for you. You may not make all those changes at once. Large changes are not needed in this hour. The first change can be very small. You stop demanding that today become different. You stop arguing with the energy you have left. You stop trying to earn the right to lie here. You are already here. The day has ended. Your body has reached the place where it can begin giving less attention to the outside world. Let that reduction happen in its own time. There may still be sounds. There may still be thoughts. There may still be feelings moving through you. Quiet does not mean the absence of everything. It means nothing needs to be chased. A sound can come and go. A thought can come and go. A feeling can rise and become less intense. You do not have to follow each one to its conclusion. The mind has spent enough time following. It can begin to receive instead. Receive the support beneath you. Receive the room around you. Receive the truth that no one needs an answer from you in this exact moment. Receive the possibility that doing less is what helps strength return. You cannot bully yourself into renewal. You cannot criticize yourself into clarity. You cannot rush the nervous system toward ease and call that kindness. The body listens to the way you treat it. It listens when you respond to strain with more strain. It also listens when you stop. This stopping does not need to be complete. Even now, a part of you may remain guarded. That part has reasons. It may have learned that demands arrive without warning. It may have learned to stay prepared because no one else was prepared for you. It may have learned that relaxing made it easier to be disappointed. Do not scold that part. It has been trying to protect you. You can offer it a smaller task. It does not need to trust the whole future. It only needs to remain here for one breath without searching ahead, then another. No promise beyond that. No demand to release everything. Only the chance to experience one moment in which nothing new is required. That moment is here. You are not late for it. You have not missed your chance to receive what this night can offer. Even if the day was messy, this hour can still be quiet. Even if the mind is busy, the body can begin to use less effort. Even if you do not feel calm, you can stop creating new reasons to be hard on yourself. That is already a beginning. The unfinished list remains where you left it. It has not become more powerful. It has not followed you into this moment as an authority. It is only a record of things that may or may not receive your attention later. You are the living person. You matter more than the record. Your breath matters more than the unchecked box. Your well-being matters more than completing something at the cost of yourself. The list can wait because you cannot be replaced by the work you do. A task can be moved. A message can be answered later. A plan can change. You are not another item to postpone. You are the one who has been postponed enough. Let this hour become the place where that changes. Not through force, not through a grand promise, only through the quiet decision to stop asking more from yourself now. You have carried the day as far as it needs to go. You do not need to carry it into the next hour. You do not need to keep proving that you can bear what has already been borne. The effort has happened. The cost has been felt. Now the body can begin its own work without instruction while you remain where you are. Nothing is wrong with needing this. Nothing is wrong with you for having reached your limit. The limit is not the end of you. It is the place where care begins. Care does not always arrive as an answer. Sometimes it arrives as weight. A steady, even weight settling over the whole body at once. Not pressing, not demanding, only staying close enough for you to feel that you are not floating alone with every thought. Imagine the kind of blanket that does not merely cover you, it meets the full shape of you. It comes down over the shoulders, across the chest, along the arms, over the waist, and all the way to the feet. Its heaviness does not ask you to carry it. The bed carries it. The surface beneath you carries you. You are the one who receives. There is relief in that difference. All day, weight may have meant responsibility. It may have meant another problem, another expectation, another person leaning on your strength. Here, weight means something else. Here, it does not land on you as a demand. It settles around you as a steady hug. Nothing is reaching for an answer. Nothing is waiting for you to become more capable. Nothing is testing how much you can bear. The heaviness is already supported. You do not have to lift it. You do not have to prove that you can manage it. You only have to feel the way it stays. It does not move away when your thoughts become messy. It does not loosen because you are not calm enough. It does not ask you to explain why this day affected you. It lies across the whole of you with the same quiet care. The shoulders receive the same weight, whether they have been strong or uncertain. The chest receives the same weight, whether it has held back tears or carried worry. The hands receive the same weight, whether they completed everything or left something undone. The legs receive the same weight, whether they kept moving or wanted to stop hours ago. Nothing is excluded. The blanket does not divide you into the parts that performed well and the parts that struggled. It does not decide that one area deserves comfort more than another. Its care is not selective. It settles over the whole body at once. That may be what you have needed. Not another lesson, not another correction, not a voice telling you to think differently before you are worthy of ease, only something steady enough to stay with every part of you. You may have spent much of the day trying to become lighter. You may have wanted to think fewer thoughts, feel fewer feelings, need less reassurance, or carry your responsibilities with less effort. You may have believed that lightness was the only form of relief, but some forms of heaviness do not make life harder. Some forms of heaviness tell the body that it can stop bracing. A blanket with steady weight can create the feeling of being gathered. The edges of you no longer need to stay so alert. The arms can stop preparing to reach. The legs can stop preparing to rise. The chest can stop preparing for the next sharp moment. The whole body can receive one clear message. You are contained here. You are not scattered across the unfinished day. You are not in 10 places at once. You are not still standing in every room where something happened. You are not still sitting inside every conversation. You are here. The blanket meets you here. It does not travel backward to repair the day. It does not rush forward to protect you from tomorrow. It stays with the present shape of your body. This shoulder, this arm, this hand, this breath, this moment. There is no larger task hidden inside it. You do not have to become deeply peaceful before it can help. You do not have to empty the mind. You do not have to find the perfect position. You do not have to create a feeling that is not here yet. You can receive steadiness while still carrying some tension. Full blanket does not mind. It does not become impatient with the places that remain guarded. It can rest over a tight shoulder without demanding that the shoulder release. It can lie across the chest without asking the heart to settle immediately. It can cover the legs while they still remember the movement of the day. It can remain while your thoughts complete their slow return. This is a different kind of care. It does not hurry what has been under strain. It does not pull at the body. It does not insist. It stays. Perhaps staying is what makes it trustworthy. So much of the day may have changed. Plans shifted. People responded differently than you hoped. Energy rose and fell. Attention was pulled from one thing to another. The blanket does not change its mind about you. Its weight remains even. It does not become heavier because you forgot something. It does not become lighter because you pleased someone. It does not adjust itself according to how useful you were. It is not a reward. It is comfort without a score. You can let that truth reach the places where praise and pressure have become confused. You do not have to achieve your way into being covered. You do not have to finish the list before the blanket can stay. You do not have to deserve the warmth. It arrives because you are here, because you have a body, because bodies need shelter from demand, because the person who gives care also needs to feel care. You may have forgotten that receiving can be this quiet. No one is asking you to say thank you. No one is waiting for you to return the favor. No one is keeping track of what they have given. The blanket gives the same way darkness fills a room, completely, without negotiation, across the whole of you. There may be something in you that feels uneasy with this. A part that says you should remain ready, a part that believes comfort will make you careless, a part that has learned to treat ease as something temporary that can be taken away. You do not need to argue with that part. Let the blanket meet it too. Let the steady weight lie across the guarded place without trying to change it. The guarded part can stay guarded for now. It can listen from beneath the cover. It can learn through experience rather than command. Nothing happened when the shoulders dropped a little. Nothing was lost when the hands stopped preparing. No one was harmed because the eyes became less alert. The blanket remained. The room remained. You remained. This is how trust can return. Not as a grand feeling, not as complete certainty, only as one quiet moment followed by another. The weight stays. The body experiences being stayed with. The mind may wander, but the cover does not leave. The breath may change, but the cover does not leave. A memory may rise, but the cover does not leave. A worry may appear, and still the cover does not leave. It does not abandon you because your inner world is untidy. That may be the deepest comfort. You are not being held only when you are easy to hold. You are not being cared for only when you are quiet. You are not being kept only when you are grateful. The blanket stays through the movement beneath it. It stays through the shift of one leg. It stays when the hand changes position. It stays when the chest rises with a deeper breath. Its care makes room for life. You do not have to become still like stone. You are a living body. Living bodies adjust. They breathe. They warm. They cool. They respond. They settle in stages. The blanket understands this without needing to understand anything at all. Its weight is not a command to disappear. It is a reminder that you can exist without constantly proving your readiness. You can lie here as a whole person, not as a worker waiting to begin again, not as a caregiver listening for the next need, not as the one who keeps everyone steady, not as the person who remembers what others forget, only as yourself, covered, supported, kept for these hours. There is a quiet difference between being trapped and being contained. Trapped means there is no choice. Contained means the edges are safe enough to stop spreading outward. The blanket does not imprison you. You can move whenever you need. You can shift. You can uncover a foot. You can turn. You remain free. The comfort comes from knowing you do not have to move. You are not forced to stay. You are relieved of the need to leave. That difference matters. All day, you may have been moving because the next thing required it. Now movement can become optional. The body can discover what it feels like to remain, not because it has been ordered, because nothing else is more urgent. The steady weight can help make that message believable. You are not expected anywhere else in this moment. No one is standing just beyond the blanket asking you to hurry. No responsibility is allowed inside this quiet space. the list remains outside it. The unfinished conversation remains outside it. Tomorrow remains outside it. Only your body is here beneath the cover. Only your breath. Only the simple truth that you have stopped for now. The blanket does not need to block the world forever. It only needs to create enough separation for this hour. A small, protected space. A place where the demands of the day lose their direct access to you. A place where every thought does not immediately become action. A place where every worry does not become a plan. A place where every feeling does not require a response. Beneath the steady weight, urgency can become ordinary. A thought can be important without being handled now. A concern can be real without entering your hands. A task can exist without entering your muscles. You do not have to prepare the body for something the mind is only imagining. Let the weight remind the body where it is. Here, horizontal, supported, covered, no action required. The mind may still send old instructions. Get ready, remember, check, prepare. Those instructions belong to another part of the day. They do not have authority here. You do not need to shout them down. Let them meet the blanket. Let every instruction fall beneath the same even weight. The word hurry can become quieter there. The word should can become quieter there. The word later can stop pulling you forward. The blanket does not answer any of them. It only stays. There is wisdom in that steady refusal. Not every thought deserves movement. Not every demand deserves access. Not every inner alarm is describing the present. You can let the cover become the boundary. Above it, the day may continue to exist in memory. Beneath it, your body is no longer available for work. The shoulders are off duty. The hands are off duty. The legs are off duty. The face is off duty. The mouth does not have to explain. The eyes do not have to search. The ears do not have to listen for what someone else might need. The whole body can receive the same release. You are not required to remain partly awake for everyone. You are permitted to belong to yourself. The blanket keeps that permission close enough to feel. Its weight is not an idea. It is not a sentence you must believe. It is something the body can understand directly. Steady pressure, even warmth, a clear edge, a quiet covering. The body does not need a complicated argument when it receives a simple physical message. You are surrounded. You are supported. You are not being asked to go anywhere. The longer the weight stays, the less the body has to keep proving that it is still here. It can stop gripping the bed. It can stop holding the shoulders above the surface. It can stop keeping the knees ready. It can stop arranging the face. The surface beneath you already knows your shape. You do not need to hold yourself above it. The blanket already knows where to settle. You do not need to guide it. Everything can be carried by what is already carrying you. That sentence may be difficult to accept. You may be used to being the carrier. You may know how to support others much better than you know how to receive support. Receiving can feel exposed. It can bring up the fear that nothing will actually stay. Let the blanket answer without words. It stays. One breath, then another. It stays. One thought, then another. It stays. One small release, then another. It stays. The body can learn from repetition that does not demand anything. Not repeated promises, repeated presence, the same even weight across the same living body. No sudden withdrawal, no test, no condition, only the steady hug. There may have been days when you wished someone would recognize that you did not need advice. You needed to be met. You needed someone to understand that you were already trying. You needed closeness without correction. The blanket offers that kind of answer. It does not tell you what you should have done. It does not ask what you will do tomorrow. It does not search for the positive side. It does not make you explain the full story. It stays near the body that lived through it. You can let that be enough. You do not have to turn comfort into insight. You do not have to discover the lesson. You do not have to become wiser before the night is over. Some parts of life are carried best by not carrying them for a while. Let the blanket take the first shift. Let its weight remain where your effort used to be. Where the shoulders held up the day, let the blanket lie. Where the chest protected every feeling, let the blanket lie. Where the stomach tightened around uncertainty, let the blanket lie. Where the legs kept moving, let the blanket lie. Where the feet carried you forward, let the blanket lie. You do not need to repay it. You do not need to assist it. Its entire purpose is to remain. You may begin to sense that heaviness is not always the enemy. The day's heaviness asked you to hold. This heaviness holds you. The day's heaviness pulled you downward while you tried to stay upright. This heaviness meets you after you have already lain down. The day's heaviness scattered itself across many worries. This heaviness gathers itself into one clear feeling. Kept, not pressed, not pinned, kept. The body may understand that word before the mind does. Kept means you are not being abandoned to the noise inside you. Kept means the night has made room for your whole condition. Kept means nothing in you needs to be hidden before care can remain. You can be uncertain and kept. You can be disappointed and kept. You can be unprepared and kept. You can be unable to explain yourself and kept. You can have done less than you hoped and still be kept. The blanket does not confuse your worth with your results. It covers the person, not the performance. That is why its weight feels different from the demands of the day. The demands cared about what you could produce. The blanket cares only that you are beneath it. The demands asked what you could do next. The blanket answers what you need now. The demands pulled your attention outward. The blanket returns it to the simple fact of your body. Here are your shoulders. Here is your chest. Here are your arms. Here is your middle. Here are your legs. Here are your feet. All of you is included. No part has been left standing outside. No part is waiting to be invited. The blanket, see, settles across every area with the same message. You do not have to hold yourself together alone. Maybe you never knew how much effort that required. Holding the face, holding the voice, holding the feelings, holding the plan, holding the family, holding the work, holding the memory of what still needed to happen. Now the blanket becomes the thing that holds. You can stop doing the holding for a while. You do not need to drop everything in one dramatic moment. You can loosen one invisible grip, then another. Let the blanket carry the shape that remains. It will not ask you to become smaller. It will not ask you to disappear. It will meet the full space you occupy. You do not have to apologize for that space. You do not have to pull in the stomach. You do not have to make the shoulders narrow. You do not have to fold yourself into something more convenient. The blanket has room for all of you. It does not prefer you reduced. It does not reward you for taking up less space. Its comfort is wide enough for the body you have brought into this night. That body has served you. It may not have done everything you wanted. It may have carried pain, tension, hunger, weariness, or restlessness. It may have changed in ways you are still learning to accept. It still brought you here. Let the blanket meet it without judgment. Let the steady weight offer what criticism never could. A reason to stop fighting your own form. You are not required to love every part of yourself now. You can begin with not attacking it. You can begin with letting it be covered. Let the blanket touch what you have judged. Let it rest over the place you avoid. Let it include the body you wish were different. Nothing needs to be corrected beneath this weight. Nothing needs to be hidden. The blanket has no opinion about your appearance. It does not compare you with a younger self. It does not ask why you have changed. It does not remember a picture and hold it against you. It only knows where you are. It gives the same steady hug to the person you are now. This body deserves that. Not because it is perfect, because it is yours, because it has been present for every hour you have survived, because it has carried joy and fear, work and waiting, love and disappointment, because it has kept breathing through days you did not know how to face. You can meet it with less hostility here. You can say nothing. The blanket can speak through weight. You are worth covering. You are worth keeping. You are worth the quiet hours required for repair. No one needs to agree. No one needs to understand. This care is already happening. The weight lies across you. The surface remains beneath you. The list remains unfinished. The world remains outside, and you remain here, not solving, not proving, not carrying, receiving. There may still be places that resist. Let them resist beneath the cover. Resistance does not remove you from comfort. A tense body can still be covered. A busy mind can still be covered. A worried heart can still be covered. The blanket does not wait for ideal conditions. It meets the real condition. This one, the actual state of you. That is what makes it kind. You do not have to become easier to care for. You do not have to offer a cleaner version of your feelings. You do not have to remove the heaviness the day left behind. Let the steady weight meet that heaviness, not to erase it, to keep you company inside it. Some heaviness exists only to make you feel kept. Let this be that kind. Let it settle over the whole body. Let it stay without pressing. Let it become the quiet proof that receiving does not make you weak. The body may begin to release because it no longer feels alone in the task of staying together. The mind may begin to quiet because nothing beneath the blanket requires an answer. The heart may begin to slow because no one is asking it to be brave for another person. You are not alone with the day now. The blanket has taken its place around you. Its weight has entered every space where effort used to stand. You can stop lifting what is already being held. You can stop guarding what is already being covered. You can stop searching for care while it is resting across you. Stay beneath the steady hug. Let it gather the parts of you that the day scattered. Let it keep the body where it no longer needs to move. Let it remind you that there is a form of heaviness that does not burden. There is a form of weight that says you do not have to float through this alone. There is a form of pressure that is not pressure at all. Only closeness, only steadiness, only the quiet experience of being kept. The quiet experience of being kept can become something your whole body understands. You do not need to reach for it. The weight is already here. The blanket has settled over the shape of you that made it through the day. It does not ask what happened. It does not inspect the unfinished pieces. It does not measure how much strength remains. It only stays. Let that staying become your answer for now. Not the answer to every problem, not the answer to every relationship, decision, or responsibility. Only the answer to this hour. You have carried enough. You can stop carrying now. The day does not need to be erased before you set it down. You do not have to pretend that it was easy. You do not have to call the difficult parts good. Setting something down does not change what it was. It changes what your body must do with it now. You can remember without gripping. You can care without continuing to carry. You can know that tomorrow contains work without holding tomorrow inside your muscles, the blanket. He has room for all the things you are no longer carrying. Let them remain outside your hands. Let them remain outside your shoulders. Let them remain outside the tight place beneath the ribs. You do not have to throw them away. You do not have to decide that they no longer matter. You can place them down because you matter too. There is nothing selfish in that. There is nothing careless in that. There is nothing irresponsible in choosing not to hold the whole day through the night. The blanket does not ask you to forget. It asks nothing. Its steady weight only creates enough safety for you to stop rehearsing. The unfinished words can stay unfinished. The difficult look on someone's face can stop asking for interpretation. The choice you did not make can remain unmade until another hour. You do not have to finish the emotional work of the day while your body is trying to become quiet. You can let one thing be incomplete, then another, then one more. Nothing terrible happens when a thought is not followed. Nothing is broken when you do not solve the next step. Nothing is lost when you stop trying to improve the past. You are not abandoning your life. You are stepping out from beneath its demands for a while. The blanket takes the place of effort. Its weight says you do not need to hold yourself up. Its warmth says you do not need to keep the whole day active. Its evenness says no one part of you must work harder than another. Let the words form slowly inside you. Everything is down now. I am kept. You do not need to say them with certainty. You do not need to feel them as completely true. You can let them pass through the mind like a quiet possibility. Everything is down now, not gone, not denied, only down. The conversation is down. The list is down. The expectation is down. The need to be understood is down. The hope that someone will change their mind is down. The worry about what tomorrow will ask is down. You do not have to keep any of it lifted. The blanket is not asking you to replace one burden with another. You do not need to carry the work of becoming calm. You do not need to carry the work of forgiving. You do not need to carry the work of feeling grateful. You do not need to carry the work of making these words effective. You are not responsible for producing the perfect inner response. You can remain exactly as you are beneath the cover, a little guarded, a little uncertain, a little unable to believe that everything can truly wait. The blanket can hold even that. It can settle across doubt without trying to remove it. It can lie over resistance without calling resistance a problem. There may be a part of you that does not want to set the day down. That part may fear forgetting. It may fear that if you stop thinking, you will miss the one answer that could protect you. It may believe that worry is the only thing key. keeping the future under control. Do not push that part away. Let it stay beneath the same weight. It has worked hard too. It has scanned every possibility. It has repeated every concern. It has tried to prepare you for disappointment. It may not know how to stop simply because the room is quiet. You can speak to it without force. You do not have to set everything down. You can let one small thing stay down. That is enough. One message can remain unanswered. One question can remain open. One plan can remain incomplete. One feeling can remain unnamed. One small thing can stay down. You do not have to choose the largest burden. Choose what is nearest, the detail that does not need another review, the sentence you cannot change, the task that cannot be completed from where you are. Let that one stay down. The blanket remains over you while it does. Nothing rushes in to punish the space you create. Nothing demands that you replace it immediately. There is only a little less effort, a little less gripping, a little less need to remain ready. That small reduction is enough to begin. You are not being asked for a dramatic release. You are being met exactly where you are. Perhaps one part of the body is still tense. Perhaps the thoughts are still moving. Perhaps your heart is still trying to understand what happened today. All of that can be true while one small thing stays down. You do not have to wait for complete peace. You can begin within imperfection. The blanket does not cover only the calm parts. It covers the whole condition. Let it stay across the place where the day is still active. Let the weight meet that movement. Let the movement become less lonely. You do not have to quiet everything by yourself. The steady hug is already doing what steadiness does. It is staying long enough for the body to believe it does not have to be alert in every direction. The shoulders do not need to listen. The hands do not need to prepare. The feet do not need to move toward anything. The face does not need to communicate that you are all right. The blanket covers the face no one sees, the face that is no longer arranging itself, the face that can look weary, the face that can stop explaining. You are permitted to look like someone who has reached the end of their energy. You do not need to hide from yourself. There is no one beneath the blanket to impress. There is no performance here. Only the honest body. Only the honest breath. Only the honest fact that you have done what you could. You may still think of something you should have done differently. Let the thought remain a thought. You do not have to turn it into a trial. You do not have to become the judge, witness, and accused person all at once. The day has already passed through you. You do not need to sentence yourself for surviving it imperfectly. The blanket has no courtroom. It has no verdict. It has no interest in guilt. It knows only weight, warmth, and staying. Let that simplicity protect you from the complicated ways you have learned to hurt yourself. You do not need to examine your worth. You do not need to determine whether you deserve comfort. Comfort has already arrived. It did not wait for permission. It did not ask for proof. It settled over you because you were there. Let this be enough. You can stop checking whether you are receiving it correctly. You can stop wondering if another person would deserve it more. The blanket is wide enough for your need. You do not take anything away from anyone by receiving care. You do not reduce another person's comfort by letting your own body become less guarded. There is room for you here. There has always been room for you, even on the days when you made yourself small, even when you stayed quiet so no one would worry, even when you told yourself your needs could wait. The blanket does not agree that you should keep waiting. It has already covered you. It has already made the decision that the whole body belongs inside care. You can let that decision stand. No argument is required. No apology is needed. The person who carried the day is now beneath the cover. That is enough. The unfinished list cannot reach beneath the blanket. It may exist in memory, but it cannot enter your hands unless you pick it up again. You do not have to pick it up. You can leave it where it is. The list knows how to wait. It has waited before. It will wait again. It does not become more important because the room is dark. It does not become more urgent because the mind is quiet enough to hear it. The thought of a task is not the task itself. The thought of tomorrow is not tomorrow. The thought of a conversation is not the conversation. You are allowed to let thoughts remain incomplete. They do not need endings. They can fade in the middle. They can lose their shape. They can become less interesting beneath the even weight. You do not have to make them disappear. Let them become distant from the body. Let them move without pulling the shoulders. Let them pass without reaching the hands. Your body does not need to follow every thought. It can remain where it is. The blanket can help it remain. There is kindness in not moving toward every concern. There is wisdom in not answering every inner alarm. There is strength in leaving one thing alone. You may have mistaken constant response for devotion. You may have believed that caring meant never looking away. But love can survive your quiet. Responsibility can survive your absence for several hours. The people who matter can survive a delayed answer. The problems that need attention can wait for a mind with more space. You do not need to offer what you no longer have. You do not need to is care from depletion. You do not need to manufacture patience after it has been used. Let the blanket cover the empty places without shame. An empty place is not a failure. It is a place that has given. It is a place waiting to be filled again. You do not fill it by demanding more. You fill it by stopping the demand, by reducing the effort, by letting the body become unavailable, by letting the mind set down its tools. The blanket asks for none of those words. It only demonstrates them. It stays without working. It gives without moving. It supports without explaining. There is something your body can learn from that. You do not have to move to remain worthy. You do not have to produce to remain loved. You do not have to solve to remain safe in this hour. You can be motionless and still belong to life. You can be silent and still matter. You can close your eyes and remain connected to everything that truly matters. The blanket does not separate you from love. It separates you from demand. That is different. Love can remain while effort stops. Care can remain while attention turns inward. Connection can remain while the phone stays untouched. You are not withdrawing your heart. You are giving it fewer things to carry. Let that be kind. Let that be enough. The day may have trained you to expect the next need before the current one was finished. The blanket offers another pattern. Nothing next. Nothing after this. Nothing waiting just beyond the edge. Only the present wait. Only this breath. Only the body beneath it. If the mind asks what happens later, let later remain outside. If the mind asks what morning will bring, let morning remain outside. If the mind asks whether you will feel better, let the question remain unanswered. No promise is required. This hour does not need a guarantee. You are not bargaining with the future. You are receiving what is here. A steady cover, a place to lie down, a body that no longer has to move, a breath that can happen without instruction. That is enough material for quiet. You may not need more. You may have spent the day searching for the thing that would finally make you feel secure. The right answer, the right message, the right amount of preparation, the right response from someone else. Perhaps security does not arrive through certainty now. Perhaps it arrives through weight, through being covered, through the experience of not having to reach. Let that experience become a little more familiar. You are not reaching for the future. You are not reaching for approval. You are not reaching for an explanation. You are not reaching for the version of yourself who could handle everything better. You are here. The blanket is here. Nothing else needs to be added. Let the affirmation return, quieter than before. Everything is down now. I am kept. Ik times whose. You may say only the first half. Everything is down now. You may say only the second. I am kept. You may say none of it. The words are not a command. They are a place for the mind to stop. If they feel too large, make them smaller. One thing is down now. One part of me is kept. One breath is enough. You can work with what is believable. There is no value in forcing a sentence the body does not trust. A smaller truth can be more useful than a larger one you feel required to perform. Perhaps all you can believe is this: the blanket is here. That is enough. The blanket is here across the chest. It is here across the stomach. It is here along the thighs. It is here over the knees. It is here at the feet. It stays without asking you to agree with anything. Let the physical truth carry the words until the words become less important. You do not have to convince yourself that everything is fine. Everything does not have to be fine. You only have to stop holding it for now. The difference is kind. You are not denying pain. You are not denying responsibility. You are not denying uncertainty. You are letting the body stop serving all of them at once. They can exist without occupying every muscle. They can exist without tightening every breath. They can exist outside the blanket. The body can remain beneath it. The body can be kept even when life is unresolved. That may be the truth you need most. You do not have to wait until life becomes simple before receiving comfort. You do not have to earn quiet by solving every complication. You do not have to become certain before the shoulders come down. The blanket does not wait for resolution. It holds you inside the unfinished middle. It covers the part of life that has no answer yet. It stays over the questions. It stays over the disappointments. It stays over the hope you are afraid to trust. Its weight is steady because your inner world does not have to be. You can let the blanket be steady for you. You do not need to create steadiness from inside. You can borrow it, borrow the even pressure, borrow the quiet weight, borrow the feeling that something remains when you stop. The body may receive borrowed steadiness before it knows how to make its own. That is not weakness. That is one way care works. You have lent strength to others. You have steadied voices. You have waited through uncertainty. You have stayed near people who did not know what to say. Let the blanket offer the same kind of presence to you. It does not need your story. It does not need the correct words. It does not need you to become easier. It remains. You may feel emotion rise when you stop working so hard to contain it. That does not mean the quiet is harming you. Sometimes the body waits until it feels covered before revealing how much it has carried. You do not have to understand every feeling that appears. You can let it move beneath the blanket. You can let tears come without making them mean anything. You can let sadness exist without turning it into a plan. You can let relief feel strange. You can let anger become tired of itself. Nothing needs to be completed. The blanket is large enough for the feeling and the person feeling it. You do not have to choose between being cared for and being honest. You can have both. You can be held by weight while something in you still hurts. You can be covered while something in you is uncertain. You can be safe in this hour without declaring the whole world safe. A small area of safety is enough. This body, this bed, this blanket, this moment. You do not have to widen it beyond what is true. You only need to remain inside the small truth. Nothing is being asked from you now. Nothing needs an answer now. Nothing needs movement now. Let the body hear those words through the pressure across it. The blanket does not hurry the heart. It does not press the breath into a certain rhythm. It does not demand that the mind become blank. It offers the same message again and again through simple contact. Stay. You can stay. You do not have to rise. You do not have to prepare. You do not have to become useful again. Stay beneath the cover. Let the weight be stronger than the habit of getting up for everyone else. Let the warmth be stronger than the urge to check one more thing. Let the steadiness be stronger than the belief that vigilance is love. You can care in the morning. You can answer in the morning. You can return to what matters when you have returned to yourself. For now, you are the one being tended. For now, your only work is receiving what does not ask for repayment. The blanket is not waiting for you to give something back. It does not become disappointed if you fall asleep. It does not feel ignored if you stop thinking about it. It continues to cover you whether you are aware of it or not. That is freedom. You do not have to remain conscious of care for care to remain. You do not have to monitor comfort. You do not have to hold on to being held. The blanket will keep its place when the mind wanders. It will keep its place when the thoughts become fewer. It will keep its place when you no longer remember the words. You can let awareness fade without losing the support. You do not have to stay awake to make sure the blanket stays. It knows how to remain. The bed knows how to support. The body knows how to breathe. You can leave these quiet tasks to what already knows how to do them. You have done enough directing. You have done enough managing. You have done enough keeping track. Let the simplest things continue without your attention. The blanket will stay. The surface will rise. The breath will come. You can stop supervising all three. Perhaps this is what setting the day down really means. Not making one perfect decision. Not feeling one dramatic release, only ceasing to supervise what no longer needs you. The list does not need supervision. The night does not need supervision. Your breathing does not need supervision. The blanket does not need supervision. You can stop watching. You can stop checking. You can stop waiting for the exact moment when quiet begins. It may already have begun in a place you cannot measure. It may have begun when one finger loosened. It may have begun when you stopped completing a thought. It may have begun when the blanket felt less like weight and more like company. You do not need to identify the moment. Let it happen without being named. The body does not need applause for becoming less guarded. It needs continuity. The same cover, the same support, the same absence of demand. Let that continuity continue. One breath, one quiet interval, one unfinished thought, one small release. Nothing needs to be rushed. The affirmation can return once more, almost beneath the words. Everything is down now. I am kept. Let it be the last complete thought you need to hold. After it, nothing has to form. No explanation, no plan, no reply. Only the steady weight across the whole body. Only the message that does not need language. You have set down enough. You have carried enough. You have proven enough. The blanket is here now. You do not have to hold yourself together alone. The blanket can stay while the body begins to give back the day. Nothing needs to drop all at once. The body has carried in layers, and it can become quieter in layers too. The steady weight remains over you while attention moves slowly from one place to the next. No area has to respond perfectly. No muscle has to understand these words. Each place is only being remembered with kindness. Each place is being thanked for what it tried to do. Then each place is given the chance to stop. Begin at the top of the head. The scalp may have tightened without your awareness. It may have drawn itself close during concentration, worry, noise, or the effort to remain composed. It stayed present through every decision and every change in the day. Thank the scalp for staying with you. On the next exhale, let the scalp release beneath the blanket. The forehead may still be carrying the shape of thought. Small lines may remain from trying to understand, trying to anticipate, trying to remember, trying to find the right response. It worked hard to show concern. It worked hard to keep you focused. It does not have to display anything now. Thank the forehead for all the attention it gave. On the exhale, let the forehead become smooth in its own time. Twos. The space between the eyebrows may have narrowed whenever something felt uncertain. It may have held questions long after the questions stopped being useful. You do not need to pull that space open. Let the steady weight above you send one quiet message through the whole face. No answer is needed here. Thank the place between the eyebrows for trying to help you see clearly. As the breath leaves, let that small place loosen. The eyelids have worked since morning. They have opened to light, movement, faces, words, screens, work, and responsibility. They have looked for what needed attention. They have watched expressions. They have read what others did not say. They do not need to watch anymore. Thank the eyelids for everything they have seen. On the exhale, let them become heavy in the kindest way. The tiny muscles around the eyes may still be prepared to focus. They may still be holding the last image of the day or searching through the darkness for something familiar. There is nothing they need to find. The blanket is still here. The bed is still beneath you. Thank the muscles around the eyes for their long hours of care. As you breathe out, let those muscles stop searching. The cheeks may have carried a smile when you wanted silence. They may have shaped reassurance for someone else. They may have lifted to make another person feel comfortable. They may have stayed composed when emotion wanted to move through them. Thank the cheeks for every expression they offered. On the exhale, let them become unarranged. The nose has taken in the air without asking for praise. It has kept the breath moving through busy hours, quiet hours, strained moments, and ordinary ones. You did not have to remember every breath. The body remembered for you. Thank the nose for its patient work. As the air moves out, let the whole center of the face become less active. The jaw may have done more than chewing and speaking. It may have held back a sentence. It may have tightened around frustration. It may have helped you stay controlled when part of you wanted to react. The jaw has been strong enough for today. Thank it for protecting words that did not need to be spoken. On the next exhale, let the jaw hang a little more freely. The teeth do not need to meet. They do not need to grip the day. They do not need to keep any promise through the night. Let there be a small space between them. Thank the teeth for their work. As the breath leaves, let the mouth become quiet. The tongue may still be ready to explain. It may be shaping replies inside the mouth even when no one is present. It may be repeating the words you wish you had said. It may be preparing for conversations that have not happened. Nothing needs to be formed now. Thank the tongue for every careful word it helped you offer. On the exhale, let it lie quietly where it is. The lips may have spoken comfort. They may have answered when you wanted to remain silent. They may have said yes before you checked how you felt. They may have said you were fine because the full truth seemed too difficult to carry into the moment. Thank the lips for every attempt to keep peace. As you breathe out, let them become still without needing to smile. The whole face can now be covered by the same inner quiet. No part of it needs to communicate. No one is reading it. No one is asking it to appear strong. The blanket remains over the body while the face is free from being observed. Let the face belong only to you. The back of the head has been supported for longer than you may realize. You do not have to keep it lifted. You do not have to hold it in the perfect place. The surface beneath you can receive its full weight. Thank the back of the head for carrying so much thought. On the exhale, let it settle more completely. The neck has turned toward voices, tasks, sounds, and people. It has held the head upright through hours of attention. It may still be bracing, as though someone could call your name. No one is asking it to turn now. Thank the neck for helping you meet the day. As the breath leaves, let the back of the neck lengthen into support. The front of the throat may have tightened around feelings. It may have carried unshed tears. It may have worked to keep the voice steady. It may have swallowed what you could not safely express. There is nothing wrong with that place for feeling tender. Thank the throat for every truth it protected. On the exhale, let the throat become less guarded. The sides of the neck can stop preparing to move. The small muscles there do not need to stay ready. They can trust the support already present. Thank them for their vigilance. As you breathe out, let both sides soften beneath the steady cover. Now the shoulders. They may have lifted toward the ears when pressure rose. They may have held the shape of responsibility long after the responsibility left your hands. They may have carried invisible people, invisible plans, invisible fears, and invisible expectations. No one may have seen how much weight gathered there. The blanket sees nothing and asks nothing. It only stays across them. Thank the shoulders for trying to carry more than one person should carry alone. On the exhale, let both shoulders move downward. The right shoulder can stop being dependable for a while. It does not need to hold the work. It does not need to hold tomorrow. It does not need to remain ready to help. Thank the right shoulder for every task it supported. As the breath leaves, let it become heavy against the suit, face beneath you. The left shoulder can stop protecting the heart from every disappointment. It can stop lifting itself whenever a difficult thought appears. It can stop preparing for the next demand. Thank the left shoulder for staying steady through the day. On the exhale, let it be carried instead. The space across the collarbones may still feel open, tight, warm, cool, or uncertain. No feeling has to change. The steady weight can lie across this area without trying to correct it. Thank the collarbones for the structure they have provided. As you breathe out, let the upper chest become less guarded. The upper arms have reached. They have lifted, carried, moved, supported, opened, closed, and worked. They may have embraced someone. They may have held objects that needed moving. They may have stayed close to the body when you did not know what else to do. Thank the upper arms for all the ways they served you. On the exhale, let their full weight sink downward. The elbows have bent again and again without complaint. They have helped your hands move toward what needed attention. They can stop being hinges for action. They can remain exactly where they are. Thank the elbows for every movement they made. As the breath leaves, let them become still. The forearms may hold the memory of work, typing, lifting, cooking, cleaning, driving, reaching, supporting. They have done enough. Thank the forearms for their steady effort. On the exhale, let them grow heavier beneath the blanket. The wrists may have stayed active through movements so small you barely counted them. They may still feel ready to turn, lift, check, or reach. Nothing needs to be checked. Nothing needs to be held. Thank the wrists for their precision. As you breathe out, let them become loose. The hands have carried the visible part of so much responsibility. They have completed tasks the mind planned. They have offered care. They have cleaned what became messy. They have prepared what someone needed. They have held a phone while difficult words arrived. They have touched their own face when no one else knew comfort was needed. Thank the hands for every act of service. On the exhale, let both hands become empty. The palms can stop holding invisible objects. They can stop remembering the shape of the phone, the cup, the handle, the task. They do not need to grasp the future. Thank the palms for their warmth and work. As the breath leaves, let them open in whatever way feels natural. The fingers have counted, typed, pressed, pointed, signed, carried, and reached. They may still twitch with the habit of doing. Nothing is wrong with that. The blanket stays while the habit becomes quieter. Thank each finger for the small work no one praised. On the exhale, let the fingers uncurl. The thumbs have helped you grip nearly everything. They have worked through the ordinary details of the day. They can stop opposing, pressing, and holding. Thank the thumbs for their strength. As you breathe out, let them be still. The arms are now beneath the same even weight. They do not have to reach beyond the blanket. They do not have to gather anything toward you. They do not have to push anything away. They are covered. They are off duty. Let both arms receive the full message. Nothing needs your hands now. Move toward the chest. The chest has expanded around every breath, even when breathing felt shallow. It has lifted during surprise. It has tightened during worry. It has protected what felt tender. It has continued through every hour. Thank the chest for making room for life. On the exhale, let the chest fall without being held up. The ribs have guarded delicate places. They have moved thousands of times without needing your direction. They may still be holding themselves wide as though more endurance is required. No endurance is required now. Thank the ribs for their protection. As the breath leaves, let them draw inward without effort. The space around the heart may contain feelings that never became words. Affection, disappointment, longing, concern, relief, weariness, hope you did not want to name. Nothing in that space must be sorted. Thank the heart area for carrying what mattered. On the exhale, let the muscles around it loosen. The heart itself does not need an instruction. It continues its steady work. You do not have to make it slower. You do not have to listen for the perfect rhythm. You can trust its ordinary persistence. Thank the heart for every beat that brought you here. As you breathe out, let your attention stop monitoring it. The lungs have received and released the air through every mood. They worked while you spoke. They worked while you worried. They worked when you forgot they were there. They do not need large breaths to prove they are doing well. Thank the lungs for continuing without praise. On the exhale, let them empty only as much as they wish. The upper back may have stayed firm while you sat, stood, walked, worked, or supported someone. It may carry the memory of holding yourself upright when you wanted to fold inward. It does not need to keep that posture. Thank the upper back for all the strength it offered. As the breath leaves, let it spread into the surface beneath you. The area between the shoulder blades may have held what the front of you could not show. It may have. It tightened every time you remained brave. It may have carried the effort of keeping your shoulders from falling. Thank that hidden area for its unseen labor. On the exhale, let it widen. The spine has supported every position you entered today. It has moved through bending, sitting, standing, turning, and carrying. You do not have to straighten it into perfection. The body can choose its own comfortable shape. Thank the spine for holding you through the day. As you breathe out, let each part of it be supported. The middle back may hold strain from leaning forward into work, into care, into listening, into responsibility. It can stop leaning. Nothing in front of you requires attention. Thank the middle back for helping you meet what came. On the exhale, let it become heavy. The lower back may carry a deep, quiet ache. It may have supported you when the rest of the body was already depleted. It may not feel completely comfortable. You do not need to demand comfort from it. Thank the lower back for staying with you. As the breath leaves, let the muscles around it loosen as much as they can. The whole back can now experience what it is like not to hold itself above the bed. You do not need to create space beneath it. You do not need to arrange every curve. The surface beneath you is already meeting the shape that is here. Let the back be met. Let the blanket remain over the front of you while the bed receives the back of you. Nothing is unsupported. Move toward the stomach. The upper belly may have tightened around pressure. It may have responded to every hurried moment. It may have carried the conversations you could not digest and the worries you could not settle. Thank the upper belly for responding to everything you lived. On the exhale, let it stop pulling inward. The center of the stomach may still be guarded. You may have learned to keep it firm without knowing you were doing so. You may have held it tight to appear composed, protected, or in control. It does not need to remain hidden beneath effort. Thank the center of the stomach for trying to protect you. As you breathe out, let it become natural. The lower belly can stop bracing against what has not happened. It does not have to prepare for bad news. It does not have to hold the fear of tomorrow. The blanket lies across it with even weight. Thank the lower belly for every warning it tried to give. On the exhale, let it release toward the support below. The organs within the body continue their quiet work. You do not need to direct them. You do not need to imagine them perfectly. It is enough to remember that the inner body has its own pace. Thank the hidden parts of you that work without recognition. As the breath leaves, let your attention stop supervising them. And the waist may have turned and bent through many small tasks. It may have held the body firm while lifting, sitting, walking, or standing. It can stop preparing for movement. Thank the waist for its flexibility. On the exhale, let it become still. The sides of the body may feel different from one another. One side may be tighter. One side may feel heavier. Nothing has to become equal. The blanket covers both without comparison. Thank both sides for carrying you in their own way. As you breathe out, let them settle as they are. The hips have supported the body through every step and every seat. They may hold strain from long hours. They may carry emotion in ways the mind does not understand. No explanation is needed. Thank the hips for bearing the weight of the day. On the exhale, let them sink. The pelvis can stop stabilizing the body for movement. It does not need to prepare to rise. It can trust the surface beneath it. Thank the pelvis for being the strong center of so much motion. As the breath leaves, let it be fully supported. The seat of the body has carried you through chairs, travel, work, waiting, and stillness. It may feel pressure or warmth beneath the blanket. Nothing needs adjustment unless your body asks for it. Thank this area for supporting every hour you sat with life. On the exhale, let the muscles loosen. The thighs are large, strong places. They have lifted the body. They have lowered it. They have walked, stood, climbed, waited, and carried. They may still feel prepared to move. No movement is required. Thank both thighs for bringing you through the day. As you breathe out, let their full weight descend. The right thigh can stop driving you forward. It can stop gathering strength for the next step. Thank the right thigh for all its effort. On the exhale, let it become heavy. The left thigh can stop balancing the body against every change. It can stop adjusting for what might happen. Thank the left thigh for its support. As the breath leaves, let it settle. The knees have bent in service to nearly every movement. They have lowered you. They have lifted you. They may carry strain from years of doing what life required. Thank the knees for every step they made possible. On the exhale, let the space around them loosen. The backs of the knees may still hold quiet tension. They do not need to lock. They do not need to stay ready. Thank the backs of the knees for their strength. As you breathe out, let them become unguarded. The lower legs have carried you forward even when your mind wanted to stop. They have stood through conversations. They have walked through rooms where you needed courage. They have moved toward responsibilities that did not feel easy. Thank the lower legs for every distance they covered. On the exhale, let them grow heavy. The calves may still contain the memory of walking. They may tighten from the habit of readiness. No next step is waiting. Thank the calves for helping you continue. As the breath leaves, let them loosen downward. The shins have taken the impact of movement. They have supported balance through every change in direction. They do not need to remain firm. Thank the shins for their steady work. On the exhale, let them become quiet. The ankles have adjusted to every surface. They have helped you remain upright when the day was uneven. They may still be holding themselves ready to turn. Nothing needs to be navigated. Thank the ankles for their constant adjustments. As you breathe out, let them become loose. The heels have met the ground again and again. They have received the weight of your steps. Now they can give that weight to the bed. Thank the heels for carrying you. On the exhale, let them sink. The tops of the feet can stop stretching toward what comes next. They do not need to point anywhere. Thank the tops of the feet for following every direction. As the breath leaves, let them become still. The arches have supported the whole body quietly. They may ache. They may feel warm, cool, or distant. No feeling needs to be changed. Thank the arches for their unseen strength. On the exhale, let them release. The soles of the feet have touched floors, ground, shoes, steps, and paths. They carried you through places you wanted to enter and places you wanted to leave. They do not need to carry anything more. Thank the soles for every place they brought you. As you breathe out, let them become heavy. The toes have balanced the body through every step. They have pressed into the ground to keep you steady. They may curl with tension without your awareness. Thank each toe for its small part in bringing you here. On the exhale, let the toes uncurl. The whole body is now beneath the blanket. The head has been thanked. The face has been released. The neck no longer needs to turn. The shoulders no longer need to carry. The arms no longer need to reach. The hands no longer need to hold. The chest no longer needs to protect every feeling. The back no longer needs to keep you upright. The stomach no longer needs to brace. The hips no longer need to support movement. The legs no longer need to continue. The feet no longer need to find the next place. Every area has done enough. You do not have to check them again. You do not have to return to the face to see whether it relaxed correctly. You do not have to measure the shoulders. You do not have to judge the breath. The body does not need inspection. It needs the absence of new demand. Let the blanket provide that absence. Its weight remains the same across every area. It does not ask the body to prove that it listened. It does not ask for complete release. It stays with whatever remains. Some tension may still be present. Let it remain beneath the cover without becoming a problem. Some thoughts may still move. Let them move without calling the muscles back to work. Some feelings may still have edges. Let the blanket lie over those edges. Nothing needs to be resolved before the body becomes quieter. You have thanked the places that carried you. You have given them each a chance to stop. Now the whole body can receive one shared message. No part has to work alone. No part has to remain awake for everyone else. No part has to keep the day lifted. The blanket settles over the complete shape of you, not pressing, keeping, not demanding, staying. The whole body can become one quiet weight beneath another quiet weight, supported from below, covered from above. There is nothing left to hold in the middle. You do not need to keep yourself suspended between responsibility and relief. The bed receives you. The blanket stays over you. The body can stop trying to hold itself together. Let the next exhale pass through the whole form at once. Let the scalp release with it. Let the face release with it. Let the throat release with it. Let the shoulders release with it. Let the arms release with it. Let the hands release with it. Let the chest release with it. Let the back release with it. Let the belly release with it. Let the hips release with it. Let the legs release with it. Let the feet release with it. Nothing has to disappear. Only the effort can become less. The body can remain exactly where it is. The blanket can remain exactly where it is. You can stop following the words now. The body has heard enough. It knows the day is no longer asking to be carried. The body has heard enough. It does not need another instruction. The steady weight can remain while words become fewer and space grows around them. Nothing has to be improved from here. Nothing has to be finished. Nothing has to be carried farther. The blanket has taken the shape of you without asking you to change that shape. It has settled over every place that worked, worried, waited, reached, and endured. It covers what felt capable and what felt uncertain with the same quiet care. You do not need to separate those parts anymore. The loving part can lie beside the part that wanted to be left alone. The hopeful part can lie beside the part that could not see tomorrow clearly. They do not need to resolve their differences. They are all beneath the same cover. The night does not ask you to become one simple feeling. You can contain many truths without sorting them now. You can be grateful for some parts of the day and hurt by others. You can love your life and still need distance from its demands. Nothing in you has to be edited before you drift away from the day. Let the blanket keep the whole story without reading it. Let it cover the words you wish you could change. Let it stay above the blank spaces where no answer came. It does not need the story to end well before it stays with you. It only needs your body to be here. The body is here. The bed is here. The steady weight is here. That is enough truth for this hour. The mind may return to the list because lists feel clearer than feelings. A task has a beginning and an end. A human heart often does not. You do not have to turn your feelings into tasks. Sadness does not need a deadline. Disappointment does not need a solution before morning. Uncertainty does not need to become a plan. You can let each one remain incomplete beneath the cover. The blanket does not ask difficult feelings to become useful. It lets them lose the effort of standing upright. You can do the same. You can stop making every feeling explain itself. You can stop asking why it is still here. You can stop demanding that it leave before you become quiet. Everything inside you may remain as it is while the effort around it becomes less. Less gripping, less watching, less pressure to become different before the night can receive you. The blanket has already received you. You are covered. You are kept. You do not need to become easy to keep. The day may have left you feeling that you were not enough for what it asked. You were never meant to be enough for every possible demand. You were meant to be one person with one body, one mind, one heart, and a limited number of hours. Those limits are not evidence against you. They are the boundary that lets care enter. Without a boundary, everything would continue asking. With a boundary, 1 hour can belong to you. Let this be that hour. Above the cover, the unfinished day has no authority. Beneath it, you do not answer to urgency. You do not answer to comparison. You do not answer to the part of you that believes one more effort will finally make you worthy of stopping. You are already stopped. You are already beneath the weight. You are already receiving what you do not have to earn. The body may not trust this completely. Trust can come later. For now, it can experience the simple facts. No one is touching the list. No one is placing a task in your hands. No one is asking your shoulders to rise. No one is waiting for your feet to reach the floor. The blanket remains. The world is not ending because you have become unavailable. Life is not withdrawing because you are no longer managing it. The people you love do not disappear because you close your eyes. Love can remain outside the work you do for it. Love can remain while you are silent. Love can remain while you are unreachable for a few hours. You have not left anyone behind. You have only stopped leaving yourself behind. There is no need to make a promise about tomorrow. You do not need to swear that you will change everything. You do not need to decide that you will never become depleted again. Those promises can become another form of pressure. Let tomorrow meet the person who wakes. You do not have to prepare that person now. This hour belongs to the person who is here. The person beneath the blanket. The person whose hands are empty. The person whose face no longer needs to explain. Stay with that person without asking anything. You may know how to sit beside another person in pain. You may know how to remain when they have no words. Offer that same presence inward. Do not leave because the mind is still busy. Do not leave because the body is not completely settled. Do not leave because one part of you still feels afraid. Remain beneath the cover. The blanket does not become frustrated by repetition. It does not say, you should be calm by now. It does not count how many thoughts return. It does not compare this hour with another. It stays. You can stay too, not awake on purpose, not alert, only present enough to stop abandoning yourself. If a thought returns, it can return beneath the blanket. If a worry rises, it can rise beneath the blanket. If an old memory appears, it can appear beneath the blanket. Nothing receives special authority. Nothing becomes the leader of the night. A thought is only a thought beneath the cover. A memory is only a memory beneath the cover. A fear is only a fear beneath the cover. You are still the body being kept. You do not have to follow what passes through. Let each thing become less important than the weight that stays. The blanket is closer than tomorrow. It is closer than the conversation. It is closer than the task. It is closer than the fear. Let what is closest become what the body believes. Steady weight, warmth, support beneath you. No movement required. The body can understand this without language. The head is heavy, the face is free, the jaw is loose enough, the throat is open enough, the shoulders are down enough, the arms are empty enough, the hands are still enough, the chest is unguarded enough, the belly is natural enough, the hips are supported enough, the legs are quiet enough, the feet are finished enough. Enough does not mean perfect. Enough means nothing more is required. Nothing more is required from the head. Nothing more is required from the eyes. Nothing more is required from the mouth. Nothing more is required from the shoulders. Nothing more is required from the hands. Nothing more is required from the heart. Nothing more is required from the stomach. Nothing more is required from the legs. Nothing more is required from the feet. Nothing more is required from you. The blanket remains across the whole body at once. It keeps the same quiet message without speaking. You are not alone with your own weight. You are not carrying the cover. The cover is carrying the message. Kept. Kept through the unfinished list. Kept through feelings without names. Kept through the hours you gave away. Kept through the silence that follows effort. Kept when the mind understands. Kept when it does not. No explanation, no proof, no effort. The body may begin to feel distant at the edges. You do not need to follow that change. The fingers may no longer feel important. The feet may no longer feel connected to movement. The face may become only warmth and weight. Let these changes happen without observation. You do not need to remain present for every stage. You can miss the moment when one thought dissolves. You can miss the moment when the next breath becomes slower. Nothing is lost by not watching. You have watched enough. You have monitored enough. The body does not need a witness while it becomes quiet. It knows how to leave the day without announcing the departure. Let awareness become less interested. Let the edges of thought become less clear. Let words arrive unfinished. Let silence keep what words cannot. There is no need to force the descent. The blanket does not push you downward. It only makes it unnecessary to stay lifted. You can stop lifting the mind toward every sound. You can stop lifting the heart toward every worry. You can stop lifting the body toward the next hour. There is nowhere you must rise to meet. The night is already where you are. The cover is already where you are. Care is already where you are. You can stop searching for it. The search itself can lie down. The person who tried every way to become stronger can lie down. The person who believed one more task would bring peace can lie down. The person who waited to be cared for can remain beneath the steady hug. No one needs to stand watch. The blanket will stay. You are free to forget the blanket. You are free to forget these words. You are free to forget what you were trying to solve. Forgetting for a few hours is not failure. It is the mind setting down what it cannot keep active forever. What matters can return when it needs to. You do not need to protect every plan from fading. You do not need to repeat a concern so it will still exist in the morning. Let memory become quiet. Let planning become quiet. Let effort become quiet. The list can remain closed. The day can remain complete. The blanket can remain heavy in the kindest way. You can become lighter underneath it. Not because the problems have vanished, because you are no longer lifting them. Not because every feeling has passed, because you are no longer making each feeling stand. Not because tomorrow promised ease, because tomorrow has not arrived. Only this weight is here, only this support, only this body being kept. Let the breath leave with no message attached. Let the next one arrive without being counted. Breathing can return to being something the body does alone. You do not have to guide it. The body can continue without your attention. The blanket can continue without your attention. The night can continue without your attention. You can become less involved, less responsible, less awake to the edges of things. The mind may create a sentence. Let it stop halfway. It may create an image. Let the image lose its detail. It may reach for a name. Let the name remain beyond reach. Nothing needs completion here. The unfinished can be safe. A thought can remain unfinished. A feeling can remain unfinished. A day can remain unfinished. You can still be covered. You can still be kept. You can still become quiet. The rain of quiet words can begin. You do not need to repeat them. You do not need to hear everyone. I can stop carrying. I can leave it down. I am covered completely. I am safe enough here. I do not need answers. I can remain unfinished. I can receive care. I can be still. I release the list. I release the day. I release the pressure. I release the explaining. I release the waiting. I release the watching. I release the next step. I am not on duty. I am not behind. I am not failing. I am not forgotten. I am worth this quiet. I am worth being kept. I trust this support. I trust this moment. I trust one breath. I let the shoulders drop. I let the hands empty. I let the jaw loosen. I let the chest settle. I let the belly be. I let the legs grow heavy. I let the feet finish. I receive the weight. I receive the warmth. I receive the stillness. I receive without repayment. I am under the cover. I am inside, is our. I am beyond the list. I am free from effort. I am kept here. I am covered. I am supported. I am enough. I am quiet. I am safe. I am still. I let go. I lie down. I am kept. All is down. Nothing is asked. No more carrying. No more reaching. Only this weight. Only this warmth. Only being kept. The words can stop. The body does not need them anymore. The blanket remains over the whole of you. It covers the places that have released and the places that have not. It requires no final change. It does not require you to know that morning will be easier. It stays because staying is what it does. The list is down. The day is down. The effort is down. The body is beneath the cover. Let the vow become the last action you take inwardly. I rest beneath the weight keeping me. Nothing needs to follow. Nothing needs to answer. Nothing needs to rise. The blanket stays. You are kept. Rest now. Morning will be kind. Nothing follows you beneath this quiet weight.